By now, you've probably heard about the slow progress the Russians are making in Ukraine because of the fierce resistance from the Ukrainian people. However, the Russians are almost helping them by making the most amateur and idiotic mistakes imaginable, since this whole campaign has been a complete mess from the start. It all started with the Russians going to war with equipment that was hardly maintained, and the tanks and trucks were losing tires as soon as they crossed the border. And when they were not losing tires, they were simply breaking down every few minutes, bringing a 40-mile-long convoy to complete standstill. This giant target was constantly under fire from Ukrainian jets and drones, picking off specific high-level targets in the convoy. However, this wasn't even the Russians' biggest problem. You see, the Russians had terrible supply lines running into the battlefield and were unable to provide their soldiers with enough ammunition, fuel, and food to continue fighting, which led to them constantly having to pause the battle and also resulted in mass desertion. Now remember, this all happened in just 2 weeks of fighting, so morale must have been at an absolute low from the start. So in order to fix this disaster, the giant convoy was assembled to penetrate deep into Ukraine and provide fresh supplies to the battlefield. But since the convoy got stuck every couple of miles and eventually was even stranded for several days, they were using up the very same supplies they were supposed to deliver to Kiev. The soldiers across various battlefields were running out of food and thus started to plunder local supermarkets. So this all shows what a complete mess the planning and execution of this campaign into Ukraine was. However, the most spectacular failure came when the Russian generals decided to bomb the Ukrainian telecommunications. Now normally this would be a smart thing to do, since you prevent your opponent from being able to communicate, not just on a military level, but also the civilians that want to stay and fight or fulfill a support role. However, in this case, it was pretty much the dumbest thing that you could do, since the Russians were very limited in their ability to communicate. They relied heavily on the Ukrainian 3G and 4G network, which they used for their own encrypted communication services. So when they bombed these cell towers and power stations, they effectively destroyed their own means of secure communications. This error turned out to be a grave one, since now the Russians had to use the old public network in large parts of Ukraine, and you won't believe this, but this meant using Ukrainian SIM cards. This is such an amateur move, since obviously Ukrainian intelligence has complete control over this network, and they were able to listen to every single call the Russians were making, which allowed them to prepare a perfect ambush.
Нитро.
Алло, Нитро для удара.
Передаю, передаю.
Нитро, я удар.
Алло,
Нитро, я удар. Слушаю тебя.
удар я Нитро. 6-й полк почти потерял.
Что?
6-й полк пока не могу доложить, пока собираю. Очень много потерь. Ждали. Голова колонны попала в засаду. Командир полка погиб. По остальным разбираюсь.
Сейчас как разберешься, всех соберешь, мне доложишь, как понял.
Оттуда били артиллерия, танки. С беспилотника, так я понял, байрактары летают.
Before we continue, please like and subscribe to support the channel. During the ambush, dozens of Russian soldiers were killed and several vehicles destroyed. On top of that, one of several generals was also taken out, something that seems to be happening a lot. Many military experts are stunned by how many Russian generals are being killed by the Ukrainian soldiers, and the reason for this lies yet again in the Russian communication skills. Somehow, after all these years of investing and showing off their military might during parades, Russians have not invested in adequate communication technology for use on the battlefield, which means that in order to effectively manage troop movements, the generals and other high-ranking officers are forced to enter the battlefield themselves and are constantly being put in a dangerous position. This concept of having clear lines of communications, protecting the leadership, and keeping a good overview of the battlefield is something even the ancient Romans understood, and they executed perfectly without them having access to satellites. This was why Russian generals are idiots. Please like and subscribe to support the channel.